Alright, now we're back. Now let's get into the not so great X-Men movies. X-Men 3, a lot of people hate this movie. I think the movie gets a little too much shit. It's not a perfect movie. There are scenes that drive me up a fucking wall, but I think there is merit to the movie. Like the whole issue with the government making basically a cure for being a mutant, which sounds stupid, but the idea is it better to be who you are or to be normal or be perceived as normal? And I like that whole part of the movie, even though it gives me a scene at the end and it drives me absolutely crazy, but whatever.
Fuck normal.
No. The ending, I ain't gonna talk about it. Anyway. There's parts that don't make no sense. There's parts that should have just been cut right out of the movie. Why was Archangel in the movie?
Well, Jack is Angel's not Archangel yet.
Oh, okay, well, Angel, whatever the character.
I actually like having Angel in the movie primarily because that, to me, was a strong comic book point. That is something, the relationship between him and his father always trying to get him a cure and all that, is a very strong comic book point. So that to me was something cool. It's like, oh, this is actually from the comics.
But
okay.
Going with the movie though, it kind of distracts from the movie and really has nothing to do with the plot. So it kind of comes out of nowhere and doesn't really have any bearing on the rest of the plot. So I say you could have just cut that whole thing out or make it his own.
I mean, they're making a movie about Gambit now. They could do an Angel movie.
Why isn't Gambit already in these movies?
Which actually, do you know who's getting to play Gambit?
Who?
Johnny Depp. And when I heard that, I was like, yes.
I can see that. I don't know if it would be like, okay, let's see how convincing with the Cajun accent he can do, but.
Well, when you know how Johnny Depp gets about roles, though, when he commits to a role, he like 100% commits to it.
It might turn into Jack Sparrow after a matter of time, but.
But who cares? It'll still be good.
It'll still be entertaining.
If you look at all of Johnny Depp's characters, each one of them is completely different. Yet they all have a tie back to Johnny Depp.
They all have the same little ticks and all that.
They have his flavor, basically.
So,
They have his style.
Yeah.
And picturing, we saw him as Jack Sparrow, being a womanizer and this and that. And then you just take that and you make it into Gambit, which is supposed to be this really charming, super cool, smooth dude. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with it.
But I'm just saying, why his own individual movies? There are a whole lot of plot,
Gambit has
lot
an
backstory.
Yes, he has an immense backstory. There is a long... Gambit has his own comic book.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Most of the X-Men had their own comic books at one point or another, and Gambit was a very popular one for a while. Getting back on X3, as you were saying.
One of the things I absolutely love in this movie is who they got to play Beast and how they used Beast. That was the best part of the movie, just because Beast is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite X-Men character. I just love the scenes with this guy, because when you see him like reading a book, he has the glasses and all that, he's wearing the suit, he's all blue and furry, hanging upside down. That's Beast. That is Beast in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
That is everything encompassed in the character.
I thought Beast was done very, very well in the movie.
And even that scene where that kid makes it look like his hand is normal, and he even cries. That was a great scene. I wish they did more with that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Beast was more of a focus point instead of this big army of evil mutants, which made no sense. And they just throw in characters just so you can say, "Hey, there's that guy."
Add more character syndrome.
I hated a lot of the way they did the Brotherhood in that movie. I hated the fact of some of the Morlocks, the way they did them. I couldn't stand it.
God, one thing I hated the most in that movie was fucking Juggernaut. They fucked up Juggernaut.
He's not a mutant.
But he's got the famous line.
Oh God, I'm the Juggernaut. Oh, fuck you.
Everyone says it. Everyone says it.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Not fuck. I'm not saying fuck Dawn. I'm just saying fuck that
mentality. Those people.
Okay, first off,
fuck the Juggernaut.
Juggernaut he's more like an Australian guy in the movie, which I didn't like. He's got that Australian-ish accent. Whether he's Australian or not, I don't know. But he's got that accent, which I didn't like. There's no history between him and Charles Xavier. They're not step-brothers. He's not getting his powers magically. There were so many things about Juggernaut I did not like.
And what was his power? Apparently, he's like indestructible if he gets any vibration or something.
If he starts moving, he becomes completely indestructible. That was his mutant ability.
So So if you kill him before he moves, then that's it.
Theoretically.
You just shoot him in the head before he moves.
But
he's dead.
technically, you're already in motion all the time.
Yes, technically, we're
Yeah.
always vibrating on some level. So,
So technically, you're supposed to be indestructible all the
Oh,
time.
okay. I just did not like what they did with the Juggernaut. I think it was a poor decision. If you're gonna, Juggernaut is enough to make a movie around.
especially not even having an outfit that looked like Juggernaut.
Yep.
His helmet looks like a cape.
And we're back to phallic shaped heads.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I did not include into the first episode. So anybody who hears that clip, they're not gonna know what the hell we're talking about. God. Back to dicks. Alright. Let's move on. Another issue I had with the movie is how they handled Jean. How they handled the Phoenix and all that. And did we really need to kill off... I'm just saying, did we really need to kill off Scott? Was there any real reason to kill off Cyclops?
Personally, I was ecstatic when he was gone. I was like, yes, I can't stand the Cyclops. He's gone. Yay.
See, I get why people don't like Cyclops. He's not one of my favorite ones, but he is a character I really like, mostly because of the cartoon. I was like, oh, come on, you couldn't give this guy some moments. You couldn't give him that one badass moment, and they never gave him that.
Nope.
Wolverine got all the badass moments.
Well, like somebody told me a long time ago, they said their biggest problem with the X-Men movies is they're called X-Men, not Wolverine. Wolverine has his own comic book, and this movie is based more like a Wolverine comic book than it is an X-Men. The X-Men is supposed to be divided between all of
It's
them
because
equally.
he is the most popular
Of
character.
course, you know.
Which, I don't know. He's never been one of my favorites. I've never really cared for the
I
character.
never had a problem with Wolverine being the focus of the movie. I always thought that was a good decision because, of course, Wolverine is like probably my favorite character, even though it's cliche.
He has like the most backstory. He has a lot to his character. He has his own rogues gallery.
Which basically the writer wants you to like him.
Yeah.
They're just trying to shove it down your throat. Like this character, look what I done with this character. Please, for the love of God, will you like my character I made?
Like it, or he's going to come to your house and shove his claws down your throat.
What do you think, Rob?
It's nothing real much about it.
All right.
It's kind of
Well, so bottom line, X-Men 3, yay or nay?
Nay.
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 Nay! I have never seen it, but it just sounds terrible. Besides that, it's a 3. Can you name anything that's 3 that's good?
Day of the Dead.
That's
Son of
Army of
Frankenstein.
Darkness. Army of Darkness.
2,
Son of Frankenstein.
3, 3, 4, 3.
Batman Forever.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
The only reason I'm saying that movie is good is because if you watch it with the mindset of it actually is paying tribute to the old Adam West Batman, is what it's doing. That's what that movie is based on.
Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face.
I actually didn't mind him as Two-Face. And,
No.
You know, Jim Carrey is the
No. I'm kidding. But moving on. I'm not that much of a dick. People online for hate me now. Anyway. X-Men 3. I think there's some merit to it. There is some good parts to it.
I will agree with that.
But overall, it's not. Overall, the narrative is muddy. It doesn't know where the focus should be put on. There is good ideas, but they do very little with it. There are some strong themes that they're talking about, but again, they do very little with it. Then we got X-Men Origins Wolverine. That's my thought.
For me, I actually like X-Men Origins a lot, mainly because it played to the Sabretooth Wolverine relationship, and that's always been one of my favorite themes in the movies. That was, you know, when it comes to the original X-Men movies, I didn't like that fact that they didn't really do anything with Wolverine and Sabretooth. You know, there's a lot about the original movies I didn't like. I could go on for hours talking about it, but I'm not going to do that.
I'll just sum up a few of my points where I just say fuck this movie. Bone Claws, not Deadpool, where they just made him Baraka from Mortal Kombat, and the magical memory erase bullet. That is the cream of the crop, or actually I should say the cream of the shit. That is just is the cherry on the crap cake memory erase bullet. That's all I gotta say.
Well, for me, I agree with Deadpool, The bullet thing, it to me just seemed like a quick excuse of like, oh, this is how we're just gonna solve this problem.
Yeah, because we'll shoot him in the brain. He'll lose his memory that way.
Just call it bad writer syndrome.
But
End it there.
as far as the bone claws, I did like that because that actually comes from comic.
That comes from a comic
It
book, and
comes
I've read
directly from the comic, and so it does make perfect sense. The only thing I didn't
it.
like
I
about
just don't like the bone claws. I think it's a stupid
it is
idea.
it makes no sense physically. If you look at Wolverine's claws, they are thin blades. They're thin. They're only maybe like about a quarter of an inch thick.
Yeah.
And his bone claws are at least a full like half an inch to a full inch thick at the thickest point.
Mm-hmm.
There's no possible way his adamantium claws could be thinner than the bone claws.
But then, and not to mention that the claws are longer than his hand.
Yeah,
Where
the,
does he keep them?
the claws retract into his hand all the way to his wrist.
Okay, but so when they're out, can he move his wrist?
When when they go out, basically they're the length. They're basically like about from his wrist to here. When he shoots them out, the
So
end
wrist
stops
to
right
wrist
here.
to mid.
So then he can move. If they come out halfway though, then his wrist would lock. If he got stuck, like say halfway out, he would not be able to turn
Sounds
his wrist.
excruciating painful just to shoot them out.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that was
they actually established that.
Oh, they
that
did?
was that was probably my favorite part about X-Men 1 was the fact of them emphasizing that whenever Rogue asked him, it does hurt when they come out, and he says, every time. Because people never think about that. Every time he shoots them out, he's cutting himself 6 times.
Yeah.
Simultaneously. Retracting it back in is, it's sliding against that raw skin and then having it heal back up.
Yeah. I bet at that point he would have been numb to it.
After a while, you get to a tolerance, but no matter what, it's always going to...
Another thing in X-Men 2 that I liked is when they showed his background. Like, they showed after he got the claws, and he's like, just like...
yeah, covered in blood.
Just screaming in agonizing pain. Alright, the Wolverine. Go. I have not seen this movie, so go.
The Wolverine, as far as the movie, it's okay, but to me it has a snail's pace. It really just takes forever to get where it's going. There's not like tremendous amounts of good Wolverine-ish action scenes about it. They really just basically sold the movie as, oh, Wolverine loses his healing ability. That's the movie. It's like, how's he gonna get it back? That was the whole principle of the movie. And to me, I was like, that's been done in the comics. Okay, I will concede with that. But did we really need to screw up Silver Samurai and turn him into a cyborg with an old geezer dude inside it? No. Did we really need to chop Wolverine's claws off at the end of the movie? His claws are completely sliced off by the end of it. I think he has one set left. It's like, but his left hand's like just sliced off. So it's like, I don't know if they're gonna grow back as bone claws. Are they gonna grow back and the adamantium regenerate? I mean, that was just kind of like, we really don't need this. It's just a shock. I'm all like, oh my god, we're gonna do this to freak people out and make them think, how is Wolverine ever gonna be the same without his claws? So, as a movie, it's okay, but definitely not my favorite X-Men movie.
Now we got 20 seconds. So we're just gonna take a break, come back, finish that thought, and then we'll finish it off. I did not expect to talk about X-Men this long, but that's one of the longest running franchises in comic book movies. So we'll be right back.